ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومطاعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن لكل شيء شرفا يتباهون به وإن بهاء أمتي وشرفها القرآن أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Respected ulama kiram, elders, beloved brothers in Islam, there is one basic, simple principle which ulama kiram generally refer to, and that is with the changing of a link or association, the value of things are either established, become greater, or they diminish. In essence, the thing is exactly the same, but its value is established by its nisbat or link or association. Simple example to illustrate this, ulama kiram give. They say if you take a brick, two bricks, the composition, the makeup is exactly the same of both. Use one brick in the mihrab of the masjid and use one brick in building the toilet. Automatically, the one that was used in the mihrab of the masjid will be elevated on, and people will be prepared to kiss it also. And the one that was used in the toilet, we won't even want it near us. In essence, both are made up exactly the same. What has changed? The nisbat, the link, the association has changed. There was one Sahabi, dark complexion he had. Ghaliban, his name was Yasir radiallahu ta'ala. He used to live in the outskirts of Medina Munawwara. Poor person, used to earn his living of the produce of the land. When he had gathered enough to sell, then he would bring his fruit, vegetables, etc. into the market of Medina Munawwara, and he would sell it, he would earn his livelihood. He had such love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that whenever he would come to Medina Munawwara, he would bring hadiyah and gift for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. On one occasion, the Sahabi was selling his wares in the marketplace of Medina Munawwara, and all of a sudden, he senses that someone has caught him from behind. And this person is shouting out, "Who will purchase the slave? Who will purchase the slave?" He becomes upset. He's a free man, he's not a slave. And he's concerned, who is making this announcement? He tries to establish the identity. And he tries to break free from the hold that this person has on him. In trying to establish the identity, he realizes that it is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this was an affectionate way in which he was showing his muhabbat for the Sahabi. When he realizes that it is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first he was trying to break away. Now he starts pushing his back closer to the chest of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he passes a remark. He says, "Ya Rasulullah, the goods that you are offering are very defective." What was Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying? Who is there that will purchase these goods? So he says that the goods that you are offering are very defective. So what was the response of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That perhaps in the eyes of the people it is defective, but in the eyes of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam it is very, very valuable. What was it? The nisbat, the link, the association, what is inside. The occasion of the Khatmul Qur'an, we heard briefly the fadail, the virtues of this occasion, and realistically speaking, we made muzakara that we're not going to have a very long program. But this is such a topic. The Qur'an is a living miracle. The Qur'an is that mu'jiza of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that is unique in every aspect. In the sense that the mu'jizat and miracles of other Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam, the effect of it was confined to their lifetime. Whether it was the staff of Musa alayhi salam, or whether it was the camel of Yunus alayhi salam, or whether it was the act of bringing the dead to life with the permission of Allah of Isa alayhi salam, all these various mu'jizat and miracles, the zikr and mention of which is interspersed in the Qur'an, and we find in the books of ahadith and the books of history. Generally, these miracles did not remain beyond the lifetime of the Nabi. The Qur'an is unique in that aspect, that this is that miracle that has withstood the test of time. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the verse of the Qur'an which I recited in the beginning, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidun. Allah says we have revealed this Qur'an, and interestingly, Allah does not use the word Qur'an. Allah uses the word dhikr. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra, al-dhikra. What does this word al-dhikr in that context mean? Reminder, admonishment, warning, guide, many meanings we can give to it. And every one of these meanings is apparent and relevant to us. Somewhere Allah says hudan, somewhere Allah says shifa, hidayat, cure. Somewhere Allah says nur, light. Every one of these meanings and ramifications are linked and attached to Qur'an. There was a group of German scholars in the late 30s. That time Germany was on the rise. They gathered, historically it is recorded, they gathered 40 different manuscripts of the Bible from various parts of the world. And when they did a comparison, they found there were disparities in every one of the copies that they had gathered. At that time they started gathering various copies of the Qur'an. It is historically recorded that they collected 40,000 manuscripts. 40,000 manuscripts, 40,000 different Qur'ans from throughout the world. And they started comparing it, and to their utter astonishment and surprise, they found harf by harf, every letter, every nukta, in every one of the 40,000 manuscripts was exactly the same. This is that verse of the Qur'an where Allah says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra. We reveal this admonishment, we reveal this Qur'an, we reveal this reminder, wa inna lahu lahafidun, and we will protect it. Simple example, if you take day-to-day example, anybody can relate to it. Give somebody a book in Latin, or give him some book in a language he doesn't understand, or even in the language that he understands, give him something complex, a poetic composition, and tell him start reading this. Read this and by heart this. Something that you don't understand in a foreign language, you forget 800 pages, forget 114 chapters, forget 6,666 verses, you won't go past the first page. It will become something too arduous, too heavy, too burdensome for the mind. You can't understand it. How long are you supposed to persevere with it? Yet children of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, not in tens and twenties, but in hundreds of thousands, throughout the entire world, leave the Arab population, we're talking about the non-Arab population, who don't understand the Qur'an, who don't understand Arabic, are not spending minutes and and hours, are spending years not just reading, not just by hearting, but enjoying the recitation of Qur'an. This in itself is already a miracle. It's impossible, defies logic, something you don't understand. How is it that you are able to by heart it and spend such long hours reading it over and over again and deriving satisfaction and enjoyment from it? These are all indications of the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah says we will protect this Qur'an. And like I mentioned initially, my respected brothers, it's not our intention to go into a long bayan. And the virtues and fadail of Qur'an, wallah, this is Bahrul la sahila lahu. This is a limitless ocean. Qur'an is the true source of ulum and knowledge. In fact, it is said, Allah says, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. That if we are to reveal this Qur'an, upon a mountain, that mountain would be rent asunder, it would not be able to bear the weight of this kalam. The Qur'an in its original form, Kalamullah, Allah's kalam, Allah's sifat. It's mentioned in the mafhum of one hadith that Rasulullah ﷺ said, if this Qur'an in its original form had to be revealed on the Lawh Mahfuz, not in the written form but in its original form, Allah's kalam, then the Lawh Mahfuz also would not have been able to bear its weight. The Lawh Mahfuz would have been destroyed. Such a kalam, such is the weight of it. This ummah of Janabi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was chosen and selected to be the recipients of this Qur'an. What a burden, what a task, what a responsibility. Unfortunately, my respected brothers, we cannot lament sufficiently the lack of munasabat and association of the ummah with the Qur'an. Our elders are saying, Qur'an aaj ek na ashna paygam ban chuki. Qur'an has become an irrelevant message for us. To some extent, recitation is taking place. That also to a very large extent for barakat. The month of Ramadan is coming. I remember one town, we were in Jamaat once. We were passing a masjid. And there was such a huge crowd, we couldn't pass. The road was blocked. So we were going somewhere else for a program. So I asked the rehbar, why is there such a big crowd in this masjid? Some foreign alim has come, some sheikh, some dignitaries, there's some special program? He gave me an ajib answer. He said, Maulana, in this masjid, Tarawih gets finished in 20 minutes. Tarawih gets finished in 20 minutes. This is why such a big crowd. One masjid, that same Ramadan we passed, they had arrows for parking. One arrow pointing, I'm not going into the fiqh ikhtilaf, that the ulama can do. But just an indication of how much of love and attachment with Qur'an we have. That the one chance in the year we get to listen to Qur'an, what is the attitude of the ummah towards it? Outside this masjid they had parking, one arrow pointing this way, parking for 8 rakats tarawih. One arrow pointing this way, parking for 20 rakats tarawih. Like I said, the fiqh ikhtilaf, leave it to the ulama, but where is the shawq? Where is the shagaf? Where is the attachment with Qur'an? One tabi'i says, I saw Usman radiallahu ta'ala in the haram of Makkah. It was the month of Ramadan. Usman radiallahu ta'ala started his tarawih salah. I went and stood behind him. Usman started from Surah Fatiha. He says, this justaju entered my heart, this curiosity. That how much would Usman read? How much Qur'an would he read? He says he started from Surah Fatiha. Usman did not go into ruku till he reached Surah Nas. That is the entire Qur'an in one rakat of Tahajjud Salah. And what would Usman radiallahu anhu say? لَوْ طَهُرَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ مَا شَبِعْتُم مِّن كَلَامِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ if your hearts were pure, if your hearts were pure, you would never get tired of listening to Qur'an. Today the ummah listens hours and hours to music, to haram. But to Qur'an, we are looking for an escape route. Khabardar if some Hafiz decides to recite Qur'an properly. Or Qur'an is read, like Salih Muzani rahimahullah saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a dream, and he was reading Qur'an before Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam admonished him and said, Ya Salih, hadhihi al-qira'a fa ayna al-buka. That Salih, you are reading Qur'an and your eyes are dry. You are reading Qur'an, where are the tears? How is it that the eye can remain dry? This is that kalam, the hearts of zulm and kufr. The Fir'auns of this ummah, Abu Jahl, Ahmed bin Shaikh, Utbah, people whose hearts were full of darkness and zulm and kufr. They are the bastions of kufr till Qiyamah of this ummah. Yet, the Qur'an would have such an effect upon them that secretly at night they would gather to listen to the Qur'an of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his tahajjud salah. So one night the three discover each other. We are listening to his Qur'an, and in the day we are calling him a madman, na'uzubillah. We are insulting him, we are telling people don't listen to him. What will happen to us if people find out what we are doing? So each of them take an oath that tomorrow we are no longer going to do this. The next night, such is the kashish, the magnetic pull of the effect of Qur'an, that each one thinks to himself, he took a qasam, he won't come. If I go, he won't find out. And all three come together again to listen to Qur'an. These were hearts of zulm and kufr. Osman is saying, if your hearts are pure, you would never get tired of listening to Qur'an. Such a kalam, such a responsibility this ummah was given that, as I mentioned, unfortunately, our elders are saying, today it has become irrelevant. Barakat, we are reading Qur'an. Somebody opens a new shop, they read Qur'an. Move into a new house, read Qur'an. Jinn or Jadoo Asar, we think somebody got black magic, read a little bit Qur'an. Other day someone sent me a message, two people were traveling. One person was reading Qur'an, so the other person tapped him and asked him, has somebody passed away? The person said, yes, matat qulubukum, our hearts have passed away. Our hearts are dead. This is why we are finding it strange that Qur'an is being read and no mayat took place. It's such a kalam, such a Allahu Akbar. The source of all true knowledge. Today we are judging achievement of people on the basis of what? How many PhDs the person got? How many university degrees he's got? We say this is an intellectual, this is an intelligent person, this is an advanced person, this is an academic individual. Based on what? Based on how proficient his knowledge is in worldly sciences. Yet, ask ourselves this one basic question. Who created me? Who created me? What is the purpose of my life? Why are people dying around me? When they die, what is happening to them? Where are they going? Just this one concept, this one question, what is death? What is death? There are 200 scientific theories to explain what is death, and my respected brothers, all 200 are wrong. 200 theories just to explain what is death, and all 200 are wrong. The fact that there are 200 will tell you that all are wrong. And yet in one verse Allah says, Allahu yatawaffal anfusa hina mawtiha. In one expression, Quran explains what is death. Who created me? What is my purpose? What is success? What is failure? Why are people dying around me? When I die, what will happen? Go to the universities of the world, go to the archives of the knowledge institutions of the world, and go line by line, letter by letter, page by page, with the age of Nuh alayhi salam, for the next 1,000 years, go line by line and try and answer these basic questions. Wallah, you will not be able to answer. And yet the answer to every one of these fundamental questions is found in Quran. This is what this ummah was given, and the sad part is the ummah is looking elsewhere. Quran is not only barakat for recitation, my respected brothers. Quran is a way of life. Quran is a value system. Quran is that which addresses every one of the needs and goals and aspirations of this human being. The ummah today has failed to value it. This is why the rest of humanity has not valued it. And that day is coming. And that day is coming. وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. Rasulullah will complain in front of Allah. Ya Allah, my ummah turned their backs on this Quran. Mahjura, they rejected it. Not that they didn't read it, they rejected it. In other words, they did not embrace the way of life of Quran. And this verse of the Quran which I recited also, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Where Allah says we reveal this Quran and we will protect it. Its meaning is not confined to the protection of the letters and verses of the Quran. Many of us regard this verse to mean that only the alphabets and the letters of Quran will be protected. No. Our mother Aisha al-Mu'mineen radiyallahu ta'ala anha was asked the question that described the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Describe the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What did she respond? She said, Kana khuluquhul Qur'an. Kana khuluquhul Qur'an. The living, walking, talking embodiment of the message of the Quran was the life of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And like Allah took upon himself to protect the letters and alphabets of the Quran, Allah took upon himself to protect the meaning and message of the Quran. This is why every aspect of the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is preserved for this ummah till Qiyamah. It defies logic. Just those that are sitting in front of us, this is a computer age. They have megabytes and terabytes. Tiny, tiny pieces of metal can contain information running into volumes. In this information technology age, if you start from one side of this masjid and ask the brother, by which day of the week you were born? What day was it? What time was it? Where were you? Illa mashallah, more than 90% of us will have absolutely no idea. In this age of information technology, and yet a desert 14 centuries ago, in the most backward nation of the time, an individual is born and every aspect of his existence is recorded. How he smiled, how he walked, how he talked. When he would speak, the way he would move his fingers, what his appearance was. Minute details are recorded. This is Quran's challenge. We have protected, we have revealed it, and we will protect it. The message of the Quran, the day of the Quran, the night of the Quran, the call of the Quran, the way of life of the Quran was Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And hifz of Quran, acquiring the knowledge or acquiring in your chest the words of the Quran, carries with it this additional responsibility that now bring alive the way of the Quran. Like I said, I don't want to go too long, just I'll terminate in one incident. Recently there was an Islamic conference in one of the first world countries. And there was one revert, what do you call him, a new Muslim. He had his kurta or his pants halfway between his knee and his ankle, what they call nisfu saq. This is the actual sunnah. Allowance is given right up till just above the ankle. And beneath the ankle, ma asfal az-zaqn fi an-nar. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the section underneath the ankle is in Jahannam. We put a lot of interpretations. People say the hadith, it comes out of pride, and this is, I'm not doing it out of pride. Excuses to make is easy. So in any case, this person was practicing on the actual sunnah. He had his pants halfway, this was saq. So there was one scholar like me approached him, Muslim, born Muslim. I said, listen brother, you have allowance. You can lower your clothing to just above the ankle. Don't keep it like this so high. So he says, why are you objecting? So he said, he mentioned two reasons. He said, why are you objecting? He said, I fear, look at this answer. He says, I fear that people will mock at you. Who? Not non-Muslims, Muslims. I fear that Muslims will laugh, they'll smirk, they'll mock at you. So this new Muslim, revert, he responds. He said two things. He said two things. First thing he said, do you wish that I should abandon the way of life of my Nabi because of the opinion of other people? Must I abandon the Sunnah because I fear the opinion of other people? One. And second answer he gave, which is relevant to you and I. He said, you are a Muslim. You are a Muslim by chance. I am a Muslim by choice. You were born Muslim. You were born Muslim. This is why you don't realize the value of one Sunnah of Rasulullah. I am a Muslim by choice. I had to find my way. Allah guided me. This is why I know the value and I appreciate the value of one Sunnah of Rasulullah. Qur'an carries a responsibility, not only the letters and the words, the way of life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So on this occasion of the Khatm al-Qur'an, one is our appeal to those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed. Allah accept their qurbani, accept their sacrifice, and understand more than their qurbani and sacrifice is the sacrifice of their parents. And more than that is the sacrifice of the ustad also. In fact, this is such a Mubarak occasion. We heard the I'lan, it was the practice of the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that on the occasion of Khatm al-Qur'an, they would gather their families and they would make dua, because it is the time of the acceptance of dua. What we need to appreciate, my respected brothers, is that today not one Qur'an is being made Khatam. Not one Qur'an. For a child to become Hafiz of Qur'an, he has to read the same verse several hundred, if not 1,000 times. Every day, few verses, read over and over and over and over and over again, till eventually he reaches this point where we say now he is Hafiz of Qur'an. So not one Qur'an is being made Khatam. Several thousand Qur'ans Khatam is being made. So we cannot put a price tag on how valuable an occasion this is. This is that occasion, it is said that the Malaika of Allah come and kiss the forehead of the one who has completed the Qur'an. In the riwayat of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu ta'ala, it is mentioned that on the occasion of the Khatam of the Qur'an, 4,000 Malaika say Ameen to the dua that is made. So this is a great occasion. But with it, our appeal to those who have completed, don't let it end there. Don't let it end there. We are now, what is this? Completion of Hifzul Quran has given us entry into what? Inna lillahi ta'ala ahleena min al-ard. Rasulullah said there are some people on the earth who are the family, the household of Allah. They are the family members of Allah. Manhum, who are they? Sahaba asked. He said, Ahlul Quran, hum ahlullahi wa khasatuhu. Those whom Allah has blessed with the Quran, they are the family of Allah and they are the khas, the chosen, the close ones of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that carries a responsibility with it. Our conduct, the manner in which we interact with people, the manner in which we dress, the manner in which we speak, every one of these things have to be in keeping with this great gift and honor and status that has been accorded to us, which primarily is the selection of Allah alone. Allah chooses. Allah chooses. And then Allah not only chooses, Allah says in the Quran, such is the level to which the one that is chosen is elevated, that Allah says, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Those whom we gave knowledge and those whom we deprived of knowledge, can the two ever be equal? Can the two ever be equal? They can never be equal. This is why ulama say, the one who has been given the knowledge of deen, for him to even look with envy, for him to look with envy at those who have been given the knowledge of dunya, is an act of great tawheen and ingratitude to the knowledge which Allah has blessed him with. Because there is nothing more superior than this knowledge. There is nothing, wallah, more superior than this knowledge. So our appeal to our Hufaz Kiram that have completed and others, that how we can not let it stop here but carry on in the service of the Qur'an, in acquiring the knowledge of Qur'an, and primarily Allama Zamakhshari rahimahullah, there is one verse in the Qur'an he mentions, great Mufassir he was. He says that the Qur'an does not have a name. We hear this term Qur'an. What does Qur'an literally mean? That which is repeated over and over again. That which is read over and over again. But in reality, the Qur'an does not have a name. He says, but if it had to have a name, if I had to give it a name, it would be this verse of the Qur'an where Allah says, هَذَا بَلَاغٌ لِلنَّاسِ هَذَا بَلَاغٌ لِلنَّاسِ وَلِيُنذَرُوا بِهِ وَلِيَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا هُوَ إِلَهُ وَاحِدٌ وَلِيَذَّكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. The last verse of Surah Ibrahim where Allah says, هَذَا, this Qur'an, بَلَاغٌ لِلنَّاسِ, it is tabligh, it is a message to the entire humanity. So the one who has been blessed with the knowledge of Qur'an should have this jazbah in the heart also, how this message of the Qur'an can be taken to the four corners of the world. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq, and Allah accept the qurbani and sacrifice of these youngsters and their asatiza and their families, and make it a zariya and means of the hidayat of the entire ummah till Qiyamah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله ولك الملك كله بيدك الخير كله علانيته وسره لك الحمد على نعمة الإيمان ولك الحمد على نعمة الإسلام ولك الحمد على نعمة الزوجات ولك الحمد على نعمة الأولاد لك الحمد على نعمك الكثيرة وآلائك الجثيمة لك الحمد على أن جعلتنا من خير أمة أخرجت للناس لك الحمد يا ربنا حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا سبحان الذي تعطف بالعز وقال به سبحان الذي لبس المجد وتكرم به سبحان الذي لا ينبغي التسبيح إلا له سبحان من أحصى كل شيء بعلمه سبحان ذي الفضل والطول سبحان ذي المن والنعم سبحان ذي المجد والكرم سبحان ذي الجلال والإكرام اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد جزى الله عنا نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بما هو أهله اللهم إنا ندعوك الله وندعوك الرحمن وندعوك البر الرحيم وندعوك بأسمائك الحسنى كلها ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم أن تغفر لنا وترحمنا لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين ربنا ظلمنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم إن مغفرتك أوسع من ذنوبنا ورحمتك أرجى عندنا من أعمالنا يا غفار الذنوب يا ستار العيوب اغفر لنا ولجميع أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم ارحم أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم تجاوز عن سيئات أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم أصلح أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اهد أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اهد الإنس والجان اللهم افتح أبواب الهداية اللهم أخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبهم الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن يا رب العالمين اللهم اجعلنا هداة مهتدين اللهم اجعلنا هداة مهتدين اللهم اجعلنا هادين مهديين غير ضالين ولا مضلين يا رب العالمين اللهم إنا عبادك بنو عبيدك وبنو إمائك نواصينا بيدك ماض فينا حكمك عدل فينا قضاؤك نسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا ونور صدورنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وهمومنا وسائقنا ودليلنا إليك وإلى جناتك جنات النعيم اللهم اجعلنا من أهل القرآن اللهم اجعلنا من أهل
اللهم اجعلنا من أهل القرآن الذين هم أهلك وخاصتك يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يقرأ القرآن فيرقى، ولا تجعلنا ممن يقرأ القرآن فيشقى، ولا تجعلنا من الغافلين يا رب. اللهم آنس وحشتنا في قبورنا، اللهم آنس وحشتنا في قبورنا. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على الوجه الذي يرضيك عنا، واجعله لنا حجة يا رب، واجعله لنا حجة يا رب. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم حجة لنا لا حجة علينا. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم حجة لنا لا حجة علينا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماع مرحوما، واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما، برحمتك ومنك وفضلك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا ومتعنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. الحمد لله.